What's up, my support fibro friends? I hope you can hear me. How is your Monday going? It's Monday. It's always been tough for me on Mondays because there's always a lot going on, and I've been in multiple meetings, but good stuff to share with you. So leave me a comment. Let me know how your Monday is going today, how we're kicking off the week. Do you have any plans this week, whether it's doctor's appointments or any stuff that you're looking forward to? That's a big one too. Are you celebrating any of your wins? What can we support you with? Leave it in a comment and let me know. I hope you can hear me because definitely having some tech issues with my earbuds lately. I don't know. In all these meetings, everyone sounded a little distant. But I did want to jump on here and do a follow-up to the last video I did for the Walls protocol and dig in a little bit. So this is part of going to be for that follow-up. So I'm going to include some links to go back to that just to reference, because we did have a lot of people asking questions. We got a lot of messages, so I need to get back to everyone. I appreciate the curiosity. It's very important when we talk about nutrition and how we can bring that into our own quality of life. But there were a lot of overlapping type of questions. So I figure I would jump on here and answer some of them the best to my ability. It's going to be different for everyone, and I will get back to everyone's comments and messages as we go forward. For some odd reason, on all these social media platforms, especially Facebook, when people send messages, whether it's to my personal account or the Support Fibro account, it's always followed by multiple spam messages. I'm just getting a horrendous amount of spam. So I apologize, because it takes so much energy to go through spam messages and delete, because they all get piled in. Like, it just seems like once we're active, people are actively sending messages to the account, more spam decides to come in. And I don't know what's going on with that algorithm. So I will definitely have to weed through everything, get back to everyone. Some people, I'm not sure if they just got their accounts hacked because they send a link, but I will definitely get back to everyone as soon as I can with additional questions as we go through this. So first of all, when it comes to nutrition, and I talked about the Walls protocol, was that it's personalized. So remember, everything in regards to nutrition and the things that we learn and the content we share, you can personalize it to what you need and where you're at. So just remember that it's individualized, it's personalized medicine, and there's so many different variables that come into play when we talk about nutrition. I just think it's important that you have the content, because when I used to be out on the road, I would meet a lot of people and they were not aware of what functional medicine was, root cause medicine. They didn't know who Dr. Terry Walls was. So I had to share the content with everyone, because I believe that you need to know what this content is all about. If you choose to implement it in your life, you have a choice. So as long as you have the education and materials, you can make the best decision for yourself and see if you do implement it, how it improves your quality of life. So just remember that it's personalized. And I know that there's always a lot of pressure, sometimes coming from your doctors, family, or just other people on the internet. I mean, we do get comments like, well, you have to tell fibro patients this and that. And I have to disagree with people, because as a coach, as a health coach, we meet you where you're at. So just remember, everything is personalized. You can take this information and get curious with this information. And the big thing too, what we're working on is calming your overall inflammation. So that's the big takeaway. So using these lifestyle behavior changes to calm overall inflammation that might be happening in your body. And I know when it comes to fibromyalgia, we keep talking about fibromyalgia doesn't have inflammation, but where this comes from is specifically in the rheumatology section, where they're not seeing inflammation in the joints like other conditions. But you already have a form, like basic inflammation happens in the body. You get inflammation when you exercise, when there's chronic stress response. We see inflammation in the brain, the gut. If you have gut issues and digestive issues, just look up the definition of gastritis. If you've ever been diagnosed with gastritis, or you see gastritis on your endoscopy, look up the definition and see how they define that. There's inflammation involved. So what we're trying to do with these lifestyle factors in particular, and we'll talk a lot about nutrition, is calming the overall body when it comes to calming the inflammation in different areas as much as we can, because we want to decrease the overall disease burden. So those of us that have a lot of disease burden, we feel it all the time, and it really affects our quality of life. This is why these educational resources are helpful, and we can implement these changes together. And we're going to have some health coaching groups as well, where we can work on these behavior changes in order to help, because it's difficult. It is not easy to create these behavior changes. And I am not perfect in any way either. And if you see anyone that's perfect out there, get curious and don't pass judgment, but ask them different questions. Because I think sometimes we also see a bias. Like, I may be a little bit more biased on the nutrition side, but if you were really to dig into what helped, you would see that nutrition did help, but also improving my sleep quality was another component. So nothing is easy as it seems. So I just want people to take that away, because that was a lot of these questions asked. Did you only have to do the Walls protocol? No, I didn't. There were other factors that came to it. I just needed something nutritionally sound for my body that responded well. I could have done it and had unrealistic, like I just wouldn't have had a response. So I used to exercise like everyone says to do, regularly, trying to do it every day. And I didn't really work on my nutrition. I kind of went gluten-free for a little bit, but I didn't see the results that I saw. I saw dramatic change when I really gave in to going full force 100% on the nutrition side and working on my sleep and doing casual movement. So being in the vegetable garden, doing my chores. So I do move my body, but it wasn't exercise. So I'd become so used to going to the gym, like I had to go somewhere, go to the gym, go to the I just read, go to the yoga studio. You had to go somewhere, and I realized, you know what? I didn't have to do that to move my body. So I took away that stress and I took away that pressure. And that's what we're talking about here too when it comes to nutrition. If you're stressed out about the dietary changes that your doctor has given you or someone is telling you about, that is wreaking havoc on your body as well. Because I just said, calming the inflammation. So if you're stressed out about what you're eating and all this, it's not contributing to your health either. So you have to work on a different balance to decrease this disease burden. I also want to point out there's so many different variables across the board when it comes to nutrition. And this is why things work differently for each person and all these lifestyle factors. So for one person out there, like they may really respond to exercise. So their body is moving, they feel best when they're swimming, and they feel like their fibromyalgia burden has kind of lifted off their bodies. And so you wonder like what factors in, and there's a lot. So some of these that I put here, genetic factors. So there's predisposition to different things. Your microbiome, if you have a lot of dysbiosis, microbiome help, that's going to be individualized across the board for different people, especially if you're managing any sort of dysbiosis, candida, SIBO, like all of these things will factor into the nutrition aspect. And especially if it seems like that histamine response is huge, or you feel like you're allergic to all foods, like anytime you eat something, you break out into hives or itchy skin, or you get fatigued or don't feel well. So these are all different factors too with the microbiome help. Some people don't get that stuff when they eat. Some people have very crabby stomachs and they have to go through another more routine of different process there. So that's a whole nother layer when it comes to nutrition or other things. And then there's contributing factors for lifestyle factors and how that plays into your role of decreasing disease burden. Some people are able to move a little bit more. And then there's others of us that have days where we just can barely get out of bed. So these are all contributing factors: how much you get out into nature, how much sun you're getting, stress at home. So these are playing to facts of environment. Are you living in a moldy home? Are you exposed to a lot of chemicals? Do you have a lot of stress at home? And those types of things will all play into the disease burden. And then, of course, progression of the disease. So some people starting out may be able to do some of these lifestyle factors, do less layering of these lifestyle factors and behavior change, and have more success. Others of us, I've had fibromyalgia since I was 14 years old. It's been over 20 years of a journey. So the progression of my disease have a lot more layers that I'm going to have to work on in order to make changes. And I think can't look for this quick fix. So it just depends, because sometimes, when you see people diagnosed maybe 3 years ago, like these variables in here may be different for them because their progression of the disease or inflammation response and things that have started to accumulate over the years might be different. But I mean, it's possible. And that's why I want to share with you the information, because I was able to decrease the disease burden, but I know it's not going to work for everyone. So looking at these variables and just sharing with you all the content that I can is important. And this is an important part of education for Support Fibro. Again, you decide, right? You decide between paleo, Mediterranean, keto, vegetarian, gluten-free. And I just invite you with all those things, because there's a lot of information. And if you guys have specific questions on each of those, please don't hesitate to ask. Probably going to do videos to break this down a little bit more, especially a keto video, because I had a lot of questions on that. But again, just get curious. If you see things out there, I invite you to take a look at what's happening. Maybe get curious on the science behind it a little bit. People will tell you all kinds of things. So your doctor will tell you one thing, another social media influencer will tell you about another thing. So if you go in with an open mind and you start to get curious, dig in, maybe see if this might work for you, try it out. I incorporate a lot of food journaling and testing. I talked about I measure my blood glucose. I started out with a Keto Mojo, which measures my blood glucose and ketones. So I was really tracking a lot of the information. So I encourage people to food journal and track as much as they can when they're exploring these new ideas. And you can always take stuff and tweak it to make it your own and to fit with your own routine. So I'm not a natural born cook. So a lot of these recipes I get overwhelmed with right away. So what can I do to abridge these or make it easier on myself? And we're going to get into more details like that with other advocates as well, who have more of a training or love to cook, love to make smoothies, crock pot ideas, instant pot. So all of this is stuff that you can incorporate, but just come in with a little bit of curiosity, especially on the science. There is science out there for what will help us calm inflammation. And I've seen different things working in health coaching groups, especially when you're minimizing some of the processed foods and decreasing added sugar. So I'm very specific when I say that, is decreasing anything that's added sugar, even if it's one by one. So just adding that in and trying not to make it as stressful as possible and whatever works, because we know those things add to inflammation when it comes to that processed added sugar in foods, and we have to be careful. We're marketed a lot, and I will get into this in the keto videos, because a lot of the keto products labeled keto, even though you think it's like low carb, they have other responses in your digestive tract, or it could still respond to certain people to have an insulin spike. So it's just how you process this and figuring out where you can get some more food in, vegetables. We talked about that in the Walls protocol. So just if everything else is stressing you out, just add in more vegetables. Or another thing that I've seen people do is just decrease that added sugar just a little bit and see how you respond. And also, when it comes to behavior change, just a reminder, because a lot of people said it's hard, and I get it. I get it. There's so much tied in with this that it's difficult, because you have all these factors at home. You have family members that may not want to eat the same thing, or you're buying things for your kids, or you have an emotional attachment. And I share this a lot too with it was difficult for me to give up a can of Coca-Cola. And I know, I'm a health coach. So I was going to health coaching events and they're bashing all these things. I was literally one time sitting under a table at a health coaching event, taking in sips of Coca-Cola. Now, I grew up having Coca-Cola as a product with my Happy Meals, and that was great memories for my family. So it attached to those memories. So I had good experiences with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola sponsored me to carry my Olympic torch and in the Olympics. So I was there, the World of Coca-Cola in Atlanta getting presented, was awarded with all kinds of stuff and free products. So anytime I think of Coca-Cola, I have such good memories. So when I was stressed out or having a stress response, I would gear myself over to having a can of Coke, because I needed that to respond. I was noticing, and I had to create a lot of awareness on this. But it just goes to show you have to go back to your why. So what's the motivation behind all of this? When things are hard or there's detachments you have to make or situations that may stress you out, but always go back to the why. So why are you doing this? Why do you want to do this? You want to get healthy. You want to decrease your pain because. Go back to it. You want to maybe travel a little bit more, have less pain to travel, just have less pain so you can walk around the house and do laundry, play with your grandkids, have more energy. Anything like that can go back to your why and hold on to that, because I know that it's a lot and you can tend to lose hope. You'll go back and forth with all of this. So just sort of sit on like, what's your why? You want to do this because. You want to reduce your sugar because, and how does that tie into other things? Sometimes you will see it a lot with weight loss, but you're going to have to really dig into the motivation to keep that up, and just remembering your why is important. I did have questions on therapeutic keto and what that it was all about. So I will promise you I will do a separate video. So when I said therapeutic keto, what I meant was I've actually administered, I was a health coaching intern in a clinical setting for about a year and a half before all of this pandemic kind of started, and it shifted a lot. But in this with therapeutic keto, so what happened was I had subsets of patients groups working with clinicians. So they would see a provider, and I would also work with a nurse practitioner, a nurse in this setting, and a PA. I was the health coach, so I was focused on behavior changes. So they've been prescribed a ketogenic or low carb lifestyle, and these were the subsets of people that I worked with in that setting. So I worked with patients that were diagnosed with Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, lupus, MS, and then PCOS. So these were the separate categories, and I was there to help them with behavior change. Now, what was interesting was that some people did not go full blown, right? It's about progress, not perfection, but just making progress. So I was in these clinical settings, documenting the behavior change and then seeing that as they transformed. And the people that were really committed, seeing the difference in results, versus some people that adopted some of it and they still saw some results in different subsets of categories. So specifically, and different motivations too. So it was good for me to learn in this environment as a health coach, but I've been trained more in therapeutic keto. So I'm a keto nutritionist certified, but I put therapeutic keto because keto has become something that's so mainstream that people use it for weight loss. I was not trained with weight loss. So these quick fix weight loss keto diets, I'm not trained in. So that's why I can't speak for it. I don't work in the weight loss category as a health coach. I see that sometimes you can lose weight as a side effect of going to the keto space, but you can also do that with some of the paleo approaches or Mediterranean diet approaches as well, because a lot of the times, like I mentioned, when people cut back on that added sugar, change does start to happen, especially in the weight loss category when your blood sugar begins to regulate. But I do want to remind everyone out there, when it comes to weight loss, it is a much more complicated issue than anyone will ever tell you, even the doctors. If you look at a chart for metabolism and all of the things that are happening, it is much more complex. And if you have underlying conditions, especially with the thyroid, and then some of the medications we take. If you're on Lyrica, the known side effect is weight gain. And for some reason, when I health coach people on Lyrica and they're trying to lose weight, there's some sort of resistance. And I don't know if this is the mechanism in the brain that's keeping this resistance and even the insulin going, but it's very difficult to lose weight. So please definitely remind your doctors, if they keep telling you to do this, look at the medications you're on, and then also have them evaluate your thyroid health and any other metabolic conditions that are happening, because we see this with PCOS and all of these like metabolics, right? And it's not straightforward. So some people, I see it and it's stressful, right? You're working yourself to like just exhaustion, going to the gym, exercising, and the weight isn't moving. So there's going to be different factors that go in, and we cannot compare ourselves across the board to anybody else. So please remember that. And some of these quick fixes could get you in trouble later. So these are all things to consider, and please be kind to yourself. So I want everybody to look in the mirror, say you are awesome and give yourself a big hug, because it's not going to be easy in this journey. And I know some people lose the weight really, really fast. But I also want to remind people too, with keto, it's not about calorie restriction. So you're not starving your body. There is a way to do this therapeutically with keto, with eating food. You definitely need to eat food. It's just a shift into what macronutrients you eat more of. So please remember that, because I see a lot of people doing keto and it's very calorie restrictive. And then they're exercising on top of it. You tend to get nutritionally deficient and you get a rebound effect, which we see with like some of the Biggest Loser TV shows of what happened, So it's a lot, and there's different sciences. And again, you have to trial and error a little bit based on body composition, your history, and like I said, those other variables that come up between genetics, microbiome health, lifestyle factors, environment, progression of disease. It all matters when you're switching. So keep that in mind. It's not a straight line. It's not going to be linear for a majority of us. I wish, but it's not. And when you're thinking about these changes, remember it's achievable. So I did a video on SMART goals, and I may have to do it again. I'm trying to get used to talking about these skill sets quite a bit, but make sure if you're thinking about these changes, achievable with what you want to accomplish. Start with the SMART goals. So make it small and be able to achieve it, make it realistic, time-bound, measurable. So go after these goals little by little and see what you can do to make small changes. I have one current client also in my private practice is just slowly, taking out the diet soda. So she just decided, I will drink diet soda maybe 3 times a week and the other days I won't, just to see how it works. And sometimes we took it down to a couple of days a week where she doesn't drink diet soda. So she really felt that was achievable, and she was able to achieve it. So you feel successful. So remember, Small Tiny Habit Changes by BJ Fogg is an excellent book. I'll have to post a link there. There's a great podcast with him and Dr. Chatterjee, just reminding you what that looks like with tiny habit changes. And also, certain changes may not be the right time for you. If you're going through a lot of stressful events, especially if you're doing a move, your job changes, or anything like that, this may not be the right time to add in a nutritional change or an elimination diet, because I know I've heard that before, elimination diets. So if you're like moving, especially to another state or even another house, this may not be the right time to do an elimination diet and add in more stress to what you're going through. So just keep that in mind as you're making and creating these goals. Big thing too, also take away creating awareness. So like I mentioned with someone with the changing of the diet soda or just added sugar, you're just creating more awareness for how you respond to things. So you're not going to be penalized if you cheat or go to a birthday party and you decide to have cake, but you've created awareness around it. So you already know the consequence. What does your body feel like if you do eat that cake? And you can go back to it. But we want it to be sustainable long term. So this is the big thing, making lifestyle changes that you can sustain. And if you do happen to have that cake, be like, you know what? I enjoyed that cake very much. You're not going to penalize yourself. Just say, I enjoyed that cake. I mean, you've created that awareness. You know what's going to happen, and you can get back into whatever changes you need to make and behavior changes that you currently are making. And that's the shift that we have to do. But creating awareness is very important because, like I said, it's just making progress. I'm not perfect. And clearly running a nonprofit with all those fundraisers, I don't know. I need a healthy choice, right? So we have C's Candies fundraisers. I was looking at other fundraisers with the cookies and all these companies. I was like, this is really a challenge. But I'm going to be honest with you. I do have ordered some C's Candies, and I know I've created awareness. So I understand the consequence if I eat some C's Candies within my own body. So I know if I eat the chocolate, I know what's going to happen. Now, I've never tested it out if I eat the whole box of chocolate, but those are things that, you just create awareness on. And there are healthier versions of different things that you can add into once you're ready for it. But at least you're creating this awareness within your body and being kind to yourself. So just remember, always being kind. And again, lastly, progress. You're making progress. So you created the awareness, moving towards progress, little sustainable changes keep going. So drop the perfectionism, because some of these goals too you might have set for yourself are just unachievable right now or not appropriate for the timing either. And we get stuck in this perfectionism or failure. If you've ever done these lifestyle challenges, everyone has these 30-day challenges and go. It may feel good in the moment and you may have success, but if you've ever done those and then you fall off the wagon, what does that feel like? And it's just creating more failure that you might want to give up. So that's why these small changes steadily just increasing, especially when it comes to movement. They talk about it a lot now with fibromyalgia, and I hope it becomes more mainstream, is just getting in the movement. You can start really, really slow with movement. And if you can do the movement successfully every single day without crashing, then you can start to build up, but you want to continuously do it for a while so you can avoid that push crash cycle. And that's what you're going to create awareness from. And it may not be, maybe something very small, like walking like to the kitchen and back like 5 times, right? It may not seem like a lot to certain people, but when you are managing debilitating chronic pain, that is a lot. So small wins, or just, taking a shower, that's a small win to celebrate. That is definitely works. So if you can go to the kitchen, come back to the bedroom, go to the kitchen 5 times, you can do that on a daily basis. Celebrate that win because you're getting your movement in. Or even dancing. Dance. Wake up in the morning, maybe just dance a little bit, do a little wiggle. And if you do that every morning steadily, then you can increase. Maybe you can dance twice a day. So do a little wiggle when you wake up in the morning, and maybe before you do something else or go walk or talk to your dog or whatever you do, you can do another little dance and wiggle. So you're steadily doing movement every single day and just build up on that, and you're making progress, okay? So give yourself some space and room to just incorporate those small steps forward. Thank you, everyone. I know, again, there's a lot more questions coming in, so I'll be sure to try to answer them and deal with the spam. Like I said, I don't know what is up with the algorithms, but as soon as people message me on Facebook and other accounts, Facebook and Instagram, spam just hordes in, and I don't know. And if you are sending a link, please give me context, because I don't click on links when they're in Messenger, because I don't know if your account has been hacked or if that's going to hack on my account. So it means too much to me to get locked out of our Support Fibro accounts. So please do ask questions and put some more context in your messages. It really helps quite a bit. But thank you so much, everyone. I am Melissa Talwar. I am the Executive Director of the Support Fibromyalgia Network. I'm also a board-certified functional medicine health coach. Stay tuned for more of these videos. Please share and subscribe to all of our channels, and then let us know what additional content you want to hear, especially about the nutrition sector, lifestyle changes, sleep. We can get it all dialed in for you. Like I mentioned, we'll definitely have to do a keto video, although it will be on therapeutic keto. I'll get into the science. I love the science of keto when it talks about ketones versus glucose utilization. So I will dive into the science. I'm just trying to figure out how to break it up, because I can nerd out quite a bit. Or even paleo, there's Mediterranean diets, there's Mediterranean keto. So there's all these different versions that you can jump into and personalize it for yourself. But thanks again, and hi to Donna for tuning in. So sorry you're struggling with providers, and we will definitely work on this moving forward. Been a strong lift for Project Echo to educate our providers and understand what is really happening with fibromyalgia and the things that we need to improve our quality of life. So we are working hard, and more education is headed your way. Happy Monday, everyone. Have a good week. Bye.